What you're about to hear is not speculation. Every word is documented. Every detail is verified. And I need to warn you, these stories will change how you think about the next time someone tells you something is wrong. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand something terrifying. The scariest part isn't that disaster strikes, it's that someone always sees it coming, and we never believe them until it's too late. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy true stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who'd love it too.
Let me ask you something. If your heart was trying to kill you, would you know? Michael Emmert thought he would. He was wrong. Or actually, he was right. That's the twist. June 3rd, 1983. Michael is watching Return of the Jedi with his teenage son. 40 minutes in, during the speeder bike scene, something happens in his chest. Not pain, pressure, like an elephant sitting on his ribs. Most people would panic, call 911, scream for help. Michael does something that sounds insane. He tells his son to keep watching the movie, says he needs some air. Walks to the lobby. And this is where it gets strange. Michael knows what's happening. He's having a heart attack. A massive one, the kind that kills you if you don't get to a hospital in minutes. So what does he do? He drives himself to the emergency room. 12 minutes, through 2 red lights, radio playing softly, his chest being crushed, every breath agony. He parks, walks through the automatic doors, and collapses. The doctors save him, barely. Triple bypass surgery, weeks of recovery. He survives. But that's not the story. What I didn't tell you, Michael knew this was coming. He'd been trying to tell doctors for 6 months that something was wrong, and they'd told him he was fine. Let me take you back. January 1983, 6 months before that movie theater. Michael goes to his doctor. "I'm having chest pain when I exercise, shortness of breath. Something's wrong." His doctor orders a stress test. Michael gets on the treadmill. 3 minutes in, the EKG starts showing problems. Abnormal rhythms, ST segment depression, red flags. The cardiologist looks at the printout. 20 years of experience, thousands of stress tests, and he says 5 words that almost kill Michael. "You're fine. It's just stress." Michael doesn't feel fine. He says, "Are you sure? Because it really feels like you're 48 years old, you don't smoke, your cholesterol is borderline. This is anxiety. Lose some weight, get more exercise." So Michael tries to believe him, tries to exercise more like the doctor said, but every time he walks upstairs, that pressure comes back. Every time he exerts himself, his body screams that something is fundamentally broken. He goes back. Different doctor, same hospital, describes the symptoms again, another test, same answer. "Nothing's wrong, you're probably just anxious." Third visit, patient appears overly focused on cardiac symptoms, possible hypochondria. They literally wrote in his chart that he was imagining it. The twist you need to understand, Michael wasn't imagining anything. His coronary arteries were 90% blocked. His heart was dying 1 cell at a time, starving for oxygen. And every test showed it. Subtle, yes, but it was there. So why did 3 doctors miss it? Because Michael didn't fit the profile. At 48, he was too young for serious heart disease, so when the evidence showed up on the tests, they dismissed it as a false positive. They bet on what was probable instead of what was possible, and they almost lost Michael's life. After he survived, after the emergency surgery, after seeing exactly how blocked his arteries were, Michael did something unusual. He requested every medical record, every test, every note. That's when he found it. The cardiologist's note from that first test. Mild ST changes noted, likely false positive. Patient young for significant CAD. No intervention needed. CAD, coronary artery disease, the thing Michael was literally begging them to check for. The doctor had seen it, had noted it, and had decided Michael was too young for it to be real. Michael sued, not for money, though he got some. He sued because he wanted that cardiologist to answer one question in court. Why didn't you believe me? The doctor's answer, under oath, is something you need to hear. In my experience, patients Mr. Emmert's age with his presentation rarely have significant coronary disease. I made a clinical judgment based on probability. Probability. He gambled on statistics, and he lost. What made my blood run cold while researching this, the trial revealed Michael wasn't the only one. That same cardiologist had cleared 14 patients between 1980 and 1983 who later had heart attacks. All 3 of them died. All of them had warning signs. All of them were told they were fine. All of them didn't fit the profile. The medical board suspended his license for 6 months. That's it. Because technically he hadn't violated the standard of care. He'd just been wrong. Repeatedly. Fatally. Michael lived another 32 years after that heart attack. Died in 2015 at 81, peaceful, natural causes. But for the rest of his life, he carried copies of those medical records in his wallet. When people asked why, he'd pull them out and say, "So if someone tells me I'm fine again, I can show them what happened the last time I believed that." Think about that. A man so traumatized by being right that he carried proof of it everywhere he went. Before you think this is just one tragic case from the 80s, I need you to know this is happening right now, today. Someone reading this has been told their symptoms are probably just anxiety. Someone watching this has been dismissed because they don't fit the demographic. Women are told their heart attack symptoms are panic attacks. Black patients are told their pain is exaggerated. Young people are told they're too healthy for serious disease. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, they're right. They know their bodies. They know something is wrong. And by the time someone believes them, it's too late. Michael got lucky. He survived. He got 32 more years. But 3 other people didn't. And the question that haunts me, how many Michael Emmerts are sitting in waiting rooms right now, being told they're fine, knowing they're not?
Imagine holding 800,000 years in your hands. Not a metaphor. Actual time. Frozen. Preserved. Waiting to tell you exactly what's coming. Would you listen? Or would you decide it must be wrong? December 1997. Antarctica. Dr. Susan Solomon is standing on an ice shelf the size of Connecticut. She's drilling, going deep, more than 2 miles down into ice that formed before humans existed. She's looking for air bubbles, tiny pockets of ancient atmosphere trapped in the ice. And when she finds them, when she analyzes them, she discovers something that will make her one of the most hated scientists in the world. I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand why people tried to destroy Susan Solomon's career, you need to understand what happened 12 years earlier. In 1985, British scientists discover a hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica. Not a thinning, a hole. The protective shield that keeps UV radiation from frying everything on Earth has a massive gap in it. The scientific community is skeptical. NASA's been monitoring the ozone for years. Their satellites haven't seen any hole. Surely if there was a massive gap in the atmosphere, American technology would have detected it. Then NASA checks their data, and they find something embarrassing, something that should terrify you. Their computers had been programmed to flag readings that deviated too far from normal as errors and automatically delete them. The hole was so large, so unexpected, that the computers assumed the data must be wrong. The hole was real. It had been there for years. The satellites had seen it. The computers had seen it. They just didn't believe it. Let that sink in. Our own technology saw the problem and decided it was impossible. Susan Solomon was one of the scientists who proved the hole was real and that we caused it. CFCs, chemicals in hairspray, refrigerators, air conditioners. We'd punched a hole in our planet's protective shield. The world listened. The Montreal Protocol was signed in 1987. Countries agreed to phase out CFCs. The ozone hole is slowly healing. Susan became a scientific hero. That's the story everyone knows, but it's not the story I'm telling you. 10 years later, in 1997, Susan found something worse. Much worse. She drilled into that Antarctic ice, extracted cores going back 800,000 years, analyzed the air bubbles trapped inside, and found a perfect record of Earth's climate stretching back almost 1 million years. CO2 levels, temperature proxies, methane, everything. And the pattern was undeniable. Whenever carbon dioxide rose above a certain level, catastrophic warming followed. Ice sheets collapsed. Sea levels rose by meters. Entire ecosystems shifted. And it happened fast, not millions of years, decades, maybe less. What made Susan's hands shake when she saw the data? Current CO2 levels were higher than anything in the entire 800,000-year record, higher than the worst warming periods in history, and they were rising faster than anything natural processes could explain. The ice was showing her the future, and it was terrifying. She wrote a paper, careful, scientific, peer-reviewed. Multiple experts examined the data. The conclusion was inescapable. Humans are causing rapid climate change, and if we don't act immediately, we're facing disaster. Published in 1999. Should have been a turning point. The ozone crisis proved we could change when science showed us the danger. But this time was different. This time, the warning wasn't about hairspray. It was about everything. How we power our homes, how we grow food, how we move around. The entire foundation of modern civilization runs on burning carbon, and Susan was saying we had to stop. Industry groups called her an alarmist. Oil companies funded studies to contradict her. Politicians mocked her. Talk shows made jokes. She received death threats. Her university faced pressure to fire her. What you need to understand, the ice cores don't lie. They can't be bribed. They don't have political agendas. They're just frozen records of what happened. And they told a simple story. High CO2 equals warming. Every single time. No exceptions in 800,000 years. Susan kept presenting data. Other scientists joined her. More ice cores from Greenland, ocean sediments, tree rings. Every line of evidence pointed to the same conclusion. Slowly, too slowly, the world started listening. 2007, the IPCC declared climate change unequivocal. Susan was a lead author. 2015, the Paris Agreement, nations pledged to limit warming. 2024, the evidence is overwhelming. The hottest years ever recorded, glaciers collapsing, sea levels rising, wildfires, droughts, floods, everything the ice predicted. The tragedy, we lost 25 years. 25 years between when Susan showed us the ice cores and when we started taking it seriously. 25 years we could have been preparing, adapting, preventing. Gone, because we didn't want to believe it. I need to tell you something that kept me up at night while researching this. Something Susan said in a 2019 interview that made me put down my notes and just sit there. A journalist asked her, "Do you ever feel frustrated that people didn't listen sooner?" And Susan smiled. Not a happy smile, a sad, tired smile. And she said, "I showed them 800,000 years of data. I showed them what happens every single time CO2 rises. I showed them we were heading to a cliff, and they asked if I was sure, if maybe this time would be different, if the ice might be wrong. She paused. Then, the ice is never wrong. It just records what happened, and it's recording what's happening now. And in another 800,000 years, when someone drills into ice and finds bubbles of our atmosphere, they'll see what we did. They'll see we knew, and they'll wonder why we didn't stop. The ice cores are still there, 2 miles down in Antarctica, still recording, still showing the same pattern. A warning, clear, undeniable, urgent. We saw it. We just decided it was too inconvenient to believe, and the clock is still ticking.
Hi, this is Tracy calling again about the electrical problem at 742 South Main. I really need someone to listen to me. I can smell burning in the walls. The wiring is overloaded. Please, someone call me back before people die. August 4th, 2012. Tracy Reynolds leaves her 9th voicemail for the Los Angeles Fire Department. She's called Building Management, City Housing Authority, the Fire Department, her city councilman. Nobody calls back. What makes Tracy's story different from the others? She wasn't a doctor. She wasn't a scientist. She was a housekeeper. Section 8 housing. Poor neighborhood. Downtown LA. Nobody important. It starts in July. Tracy notices a smell in the hallways of her building. Burning. Not constant. Usually in the evening when everyone gets home. Air conditioners running. TVs on. Microwaves going. The building's electrical system is overloaded. It's from 1924, wiring from the 70s, serving 4 times the demand it was designed for. And Tracy knows what that means. She used to work at a hotel. Fire safety training. She knows what burning electrical insulation smells like. She knows it means the building is about to burn down. She talks to neighbors. Some smell it too. Others think she's paranoid. Old buildings smell like that. It's just old building smell. But Tracy knows better. So she starts calling. Call 1. Building management. We'll send someone. Nobody comes. Call 2. City Housing Authority. Document it, take photos, file a formal complaint. She does. No response. Calls 3 through 8. Fire department non-emergency line. If there's smoke or visible fire, call 911. Otherwise, we'll add it to the inspection list. We're backlogged. Might be weeks. Calls 9 through 17. Desperation. She's explaining in detail the smell, the overloaded circuits, the fact that people are going to die. She says it in voicemail number 14. People are going to die if you don't check this. Nobody calls back. I need you to understand what happens next, because this is where the story gets dark. The building was a disaster. Multiple code violations, outdated wiring, no fire suppression system, emergency exits blocked or locked. The city inspectors knew. There were complaints going back years. But fixing it would be expensive. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. The building would need to be evacuated, completely rewired, brought up to code. The twist that made me angry, the building owner was an LLC, a shell company that owned 17 properties, all low-income housing, all Section 8, all maintained at the bare minimum. The city knew about the violations, but inspections take time, enforcement takes resources, and these were poor people, immigrants, people who don't vote, people who don't matter. So Tracy's complaints sat in the system, waiting, while 17 voicemails went unreturned. February 11th, 2013, 1:47 a.m. Tracy wakes up to her smoke detector screaming, opens her door, thick black smoke in the hallway, can't see 5 feet. She doesn't panic, does exactly what she's trained to do, grabs her phone, wet towel over her face, starts pounding on doors. Fire! Get out! Fire! Most of her neighbors are asleep. Some are elderly, some are disabled, some are undocumented, terrified of authorities, some are children. Tracy gets 12 people out, 12 people who would have died in their beds. She makes it to the 3rd floor, hears a child crying, inside an apartment. She pounds on the door, no answer, smoke getting thicker. She knows she needs to leave. Fire training is clear, save yourself first. But there's a child in there. She tries the door, locked, slams her shoulder into it. She's 5'3", 120 pounds, not breaking down a door. Runs to the stairs, finds a firefighter. 3rd floor, Unit 312, child inside. Then she collapses. The firefighters find 4-year-old Maria Gonzalez, unconscious, smoke inhalation. They get her out, rush her to the hospital. She survives, barely. 47 other people don't. The fire started in the walls, 4th floor, electrical, exactly what Tracy warned about. Spread through the walls, invisible. By the time anyone saw smoke, it had consumed half the building. 48 people died. Smoke inhalation, burns. 2 jumped from windows. 1 was an elderly man in a wheelchair. Emergency exits were blocked. He couldn't get out. Tracy survived. 3rd-degree burns, 6 weeks in the hospital, year of physical therapy, still has nightmares. But she also has something else. 17 voicemails. Proof she tried to warn them. Proof she knew. Proof this didn't have to happen. The lawsuits revealed something that should shock you. Tracy had been specific. She'd described the burning smell, explained it was electrical, said people would die, called 17 times in 6 months. The city's defense was, "We get thousands of complaints. We can't investigate all of them. Miss Reynolds wasn't an expert. There was no way to know this was a real emergency." But Tracy had told them, in voicemail number 14, in voicemail number 17. The jury awarded $47 million to victims' families. The building owners' corporation declared bankruptcy, dissolved. The CEO, hidden behind shell companies, walked away. He still owns buildings in LA today. Tracy doesn't live in LA anymore, moved to Oregon, works as a home health aide, doesn't do interviews. But she said something in one interview that I can't stop thinking about. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I told them, I begged them, and they didn't care. Not because they didn't believe me, because the people in that building weren't important enough to save. 48 people died because a poor woman's 17 phone calls weren't enough, because the system decided saving money was more important than saving lives. Tracy was right. She knew. She warned them. And nobody believed her or cared until it was too late.
3 people, 3 warnings, 3 disasters that didn't have to happen. But there's something I haven't told you yet, something that changes everything. Michael Emmert carried those medical records for 32 years, never went to a doctor without them. And you know what happened? In 2003, he had chest pain again, went to the ER, different hospital, new doctor. And when they started to dismiss him, when they started saying it was probably nothing, he pulled out that folder. "Read this," he said. "Read what happened the last time someone told me I was fine." The doctor read it, ordered immediate tests, found another blockage, caught it early, saved his life. Again. Susan Solomon's ice cores are still being studied, still showing the same pattern. And in 2023, a new study used her original data to make a prediction. We have less time than we thought. The tipping points are closer, the consequences more severe. Everything she warned about in 1999 is happening faster than even she predicted. And Tracy Reynolds? That fire in LA led to new protocols, new inspection requirements, new response systems. Since then, 17 similar fires have been prevented in LA alone because someone like Tracy called. Someone listened. But what keeps me up at night? Right now, somewhere, someone is trying to warn us about something. something that sounds unlikely, something that seems impossible, something that would be expensive or inconvenient to fix. Someone is feeling chest pain and being told it's anxiety. Someone is presenting data about the next crisis and being called alarmist. Someone is smelling smoke and being told they're overreacting. And the question isn't whether they're right. The question is, will we believe them before it's too late? Because that's the real horror of these stories. It's not that warnings are subtle or unclear. They're not. Michael told 3 doctors his heart was failing. Susan showed 800,000 years of proof. Tracy called 17 times. The horror is that we heard them, we saw the evidence, we had the warnings. And we made a calculation. Unconsciously maybe, but we calculated the cost of believing them versus the cost of being wrong. Michael's doctors calculated investigation versus efficiency. The world calculated action versus status quo. LA calculated poor people's lives versus city budget. And every time we bet against the warning, because we never think it'll be us. We never think we'll be the ones proven wrong. We never think we'll be the ones standing in the ashes saying, "Why didn't anyone tell us?" But they did tell us. They always tell us. Michael Emmert got lucky twice, but 3 other people didn't. Susan Solomon's warnings are coming true, but we lost 25 years. Tracy Reynolds saved 12 people, but 48 died. And somewhere right now there is a Michael who won't survive the 3rd dismissal, a Susan whose warning will come true before we listen, a Tracy leaving voicemail number 18. The question isn't whether someone is trying to warn us. The question is, are we listening? Because the truth doesn't wait. It doesn't care if we believe it. It doesn't care if it's convenient. It just happens. Someone, somewhere, is trying to tell you something, and by the time you believe them, it might already be too late.